Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Just your first time on the channel? Welcome. On this channel, you find truck and SUV news, reviews, and interesting stories, and little oddball stories I do, like this one. Hit subscribe, stick around. So today we're talking about the Chevy Colorado and the GMC Canyon. We're talking about how you shouldn't use a slide-in camper on these trucks, although you can use it in every other truck on the market. Really, it's kind of strange. But here's the story. About a month ago, I was on Facebook, as I typically am, killing time. And I came across a story of a guy with a bent frame in a Chevy Colorado ZR2. This sounds familiar. I've done a variety of stories in this. Link above. Think on other ZR2s with bent frames. Now, what's interesting with this one is it bent in the same spot. If you know about the truck, you know there's a frame rails. There's two frame rails, and behind the rear axle, there's a spot in the frame where it's made to bend downwards in the case of an accident. And so that way the rear axle goes underneath the cab. Doesn't beat into the cab, which is not what you want. Anyways, his truck had a dent, or it bent at the same spot. I'm not allowed to use his photos. He has a bit of an anxiety issue. I understand. And so I can tell you the story. So the frame bent down and it was the same story, except for this. He had a sliding camper on his truck, a Lua cab, which I'll put some video on images on the screen what the Lua cab is. It's a South African kind of company. Anyways, he had a slide-in camper in his truck. Oh, that was pretty interesting. Another piece of the puzzle. The ones we've seen before where they're towing a trailer or they had something else going on. In this case, this gentleman, who I've talked to on email several times, had the Luma cab in the back of his truck. He was driving really slowly, and he knew that he was getting close to payload, so what he did was he took out his rear seats, and he reduced all the extra payload he could in the truck to make sure that he was well within his limits. And so this wasn't a guy who was just being dumb. This guy really thought things through, but ends up with a bent frame. But it raised another question to me, as somebody commented. On page 173 of the Chevy Colorado Owner's Manual, it says, do not use a slide-in camper. I thought that was really interesting, because today's world of overlanding, right? All these people are going overlanding with these small, mid-sized off-road trucks because you get up the trails easier, you can camp easier, you don't have to worry about this big full-size truck driving around. It's just a smaller footprint, which is a big thing these days, and you can still have a camper there. So it makes a lot of sense. I mean, this is like tailor-made, but yet the Chevy Colorado and GMC Canyon do not allow sliding campers. Now, I talked to Toyota Tacoma's owners, and I talked to Ford and talked about the Ranger, Jeep Gladiator. They all accept it. And so I'm going to put a statement on the screen I got back from Chevrolet on why they did not allow for a sliding camper on their truck. Now, that's a really bizarre statement. I've got a lot of statements over the years, and that was just weird. Like, I don't understand why the Colorado bed is so much different than anything else. I understand the segment of one, I understand what they're trying to do, but I'm not buying that one. You know what that is? That's what comes out of the south end of a north-facing bowl. You hear me? So I thought also, what the heck's going on with these manufacturers? So if you go to the camping sites, which I'll show you on the screen, you can see where you can buy these sliding campers for the Colorado and Canyon. Okay, this is a Lua cab. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. They are out of South Africa, as you can see here. And what's interesting is when you scroll down, they're currently available for Ford Ranger, Isuzu, Mercedes-Benz X-Class. You get down here, long or short bet, Chevy Colorado USA. So I was thinking it was a global Colorado. Nope, USA. And 2005 to present, I can tell you, looking at information from Owner's Manual, the Chevy Colorado from like 2014 was not allowed to have a camper. So they've been building this for this truck when the manufacturer said don't do it for a long time. I think that's really interesting. And so this is what the Lua cab looks like. Exactly what that guy had. And so it's just a camper shell, sliding camper shell. And it's supposed to be, I think it's pretty lightweight is what they advertise for, but you have a little camper. This is nice. You go out there camping, you have a little kitchen, you have a little tent camper on top. So just different varieties. It looks like different things you do with this. But yeah, so this is that lifestyle. So let's go over here to four-wheel campers. This is where the Ford and Toyota, I'll speak to in a little bit, they pointed me over here. Because look, the Tacoma's got one. It's got a nice camper to it. Ford has one. And you look at theirs, you can four-wheel and camper, build your own camper, look at types. So what's interesting is when you start my build, It says find your perfect camper. And when you go down, if I can, to select your truck, what do you see? Mid-sized trucks, Tacoma, Frontier, Ranger, Colorado, and Canyon. So they're advertising that the Colorado and Canyon can take a SlideIn Camper when, according to the manufacturer, it says they can't. Another crazy thing is if you go to the website where I publish this story at pickuptrucktalk.com, I'll put a link down below in the comments, you will find the manufacturers like Alucab have photos on their Instagram they're resharing from owners who have the SlideIn Camper on their Colorados. And so here is even more evidence for insurance companies and manufacturers to deny claims for these customers who, if they have any problems with their truck, they are out the money. And look at this Overland. I mean, this is a nice truck. And so it's really interesting. They're showing off their campers on these trucks, kind of lulling in consumers that think that this is a good thing to do. Meanwhile, Chevy's like, don't do this. You're going to void the warranty. So there you go. You have Chevy saying, don't put it in there. You have aftermarket companies building SlideIn Campers for their trucks. And you also have this really interesting thing I found on gm-trucks.com where the 2015 GMC Sierra has a sticker inside it by the glove box that says, no SlideIn Campers. The half-ton truck. So I don't know what Chevy's got against campers, but this is kind of ridiculous. It seems like that even Honda Ridgeline says they can even handle one, although you'll damage the trunk if you do it because it's only 300 pounds of payload back there on that trunk lid. But of all the trucks, why the Chevy Colorado ZR2 and the GMC Canyon, the AT4, all that kind of stuff, can't do a SlideIn Camper? I don't know about you guys, but I think Chevy engineering needs to go back and grab their pencils and sharpen them up, grab a piece of paper and figure this out because there's something wonky going on. And it all comes down to liability a little bit as well. Whereas if Chevy says you can't have it and you go ahead and do it and you damage your frame, guess who's going to own it? You are, right? So don't go to manufacturer looking for warranty because you went beyond the manufacturer recommendation. So that's voided. And don't go to the insurance company looking for a payout either because the insurance company will look at the manufacturer recommendation and smart insurance company will say, hey, you're not supposed to have a camper on back there. You put a camper back there, it's on you as well. So neither party is going to pony up for it. That means you damage that frame, you damage that truck, you were out. Now, I don't think this is an easy thing to figure out for Chevy engineers. I think it's definitely a weird oddity that they haven't figured out why they can do a camper. I mean, it seems pretty legit. When I talked to a Toyota engineer, they were like, what the hell are you talking about? Here's a photo of our truck with a camper in it. I mean, it looks pretty badass. Ford was like, hello, here's ours. Jeep with the Gladiator, they were like, we think the wedge camper is a good option. We keep seeing them. This is freaking phenomenal. So why is Chevy left in the cold? This is so bizarre. So put your comments below. What do you think? Is this a weird Chevy engineering thing? Did the legal team get involved? And have you seen Chevy Colorados with a camper on them? And do you think that those owners know that they're not supposed to have that? Can't wait to see your comments. I'll check and send the video out over here. It's a good time. Website down below. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you down the road.